Hi, welcome everybody. I am Emily Harrison. I am the chapter director for Blue Star Families of Utah, and I'm going to be your host today for our Animal Tales story time with the Treehouse Children's Museum. We're super excited for the month of the military child. We're streaming across most of our chapter Facebook pages today, as well as YouTube Live. So if you're joining us from one of our pages, just drop us a chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. We're super excited because we should have people from all across the nation joining us today for this event. So we hope you've been enjoying Month of the Military Child and all the different activities and things that we've had here at Blue Star Families. Plus, there's a lot of other of our military and veteran service organization partners that have had great events this month. So we hope that you've been joining us for those events. If you've joined us for either our paint night or our baking night, our improv night, some of the other things that we've done, drop that in the chat. Tell us what you came to, what you enjoyed about it. We're really looking forward to seeing that and some of your feedback and letting us know what you liked. So we're super excited to have the Children's Treehouse Museum with us today. We have Wes Whitby from the museum. He's the museum's program director or programs manager, and he's joining us live this morning. How are we doing, Wes?
I'm doing great. So exciting to be here for this.
All right. Well, we're super excited because the Children's Treehouse Museum has been one of our Blue Star Museum partners here in Utah pretty much every single year that we've had the program. I believe we're going into our 11th or 12th year this year. Last year, unfortunately, with everything going on with the pandemic, we didn't have that program. But this
does it get to count last year?
We'll count you because you did sign up, so it counts. There's just a little asterisk next to 2020, but you've been partner every year. We're very grateful to have you on board. You're probably one of the more favorite museums. When we mention the Blue Star Museum, everybody's like Treehouse because everybody loves the Treehouse Museum. So we're super excited that you were able to join us today and bring to us this really great story that I know I haven't heard in a long time. So what was the inspiration behind this particular story today?
I've always loved folk tales from around the world, and the folk tales that sort of tie together where I can find different stories like each other in different cultures have always fascinated me. And can I digress and say that I think that's a lot of my love of world cultures comes from having been a military child myself. My dad served just post-Vietnam, was stationed in South Korea. And as a result of that, he got to meet people from all over the world and introduce me to different cultures and stories. And I think ever since then, I've been fascinated. So the story we're telling today is an outgrowth of that and of my love for just stories in general.
That is awesome. So we're super excited to have a military child with us today to be able to present this story. So I think we should get into it. I think the kids are going to be really excited for us to get going. So we're going to go ahead and get that story going. Let's do that.
The Woods exhibit to tell stories today. Here at Treehouse, we love stories, especially stories that help us explore and learn about other countries or cultures. Today, since I'm here in our Walk in the Woods exhibit, it seemed fitting to tell animal stories. And one of my favorite collections of these kinds of stories is stories about how Rabbit got his long ears. There are so many different versions of that story told around the world. I like Rabbit stories because no matter where they are from in the world, Rabbit always seems to be a tricky trickster. And of course, each of these stories is absolutely true. Now that's true, completely true. The stories I will tell to you, the way it happened through and through, from ears to tail, it's true. First, in India, they tell the story of a wise rabbit and a foolish lion. In those days, lion was a ferocious and voracious predator, always chasing the animals this way and that way and eating more than his share. Because while the lion did most of the chasing and the animals did most of the running, the longer the lion had to chase them, the more he ate when he finally caught them, because he got hungrier and hungrier and felt quite justified in doing so. And so that when he finally caught them, he would not just eat one deer, he would eat 2 or 5. And the animals, in terror, would run faster, making the lion work harder and run faster, and then he would eat more when he caught them. It was a vicious cycle. Until one day, the lion came up with a plan to change all of that. He roared and gathered all of the animals together to give them his proposal. Dear lunch, pray, jungle friends, we all know that there is a problem with the current situation, and I think we can agree, for starters, that both you and I are running far more than either of us would like. What do you propose, lion? The elephant cried. Well, I will agree not to chase you anymore, and in return, you will bring me 1 animal per day. Oh, the noises of disagreement the birds and the beasts made at that. Whoa, citizens, consider. I'll work my way through the animal species, 1 animal at a time. For me, it means variety, and for you, security. Observe, on Monday, I might have a rhino. On Tuesday, an antelope. On Wednesday, a nice fat monkey. But then I wouldn't have to have any of those animals for at least a month. And then again, only 1. It wouldn't do to burn through my supplies too quickly. And what's in it for us? Screamed the peacock. Well, said the lion, I won't have to chase you, so I'll eat less of each of you. And because you take it in turns, no one species will be depleted. Likewise, because you're not running away from me, you'll have more time to do whatever it is that you do when you're not running away from me. Of course, there is one last condition, Lion continued. If I do this generous thing for you, then in return you must name me, once and for all, without exception, in all times and in all places, the King of Beasts. In despair, the animals discussed the lion's idea. As king, Monkey said, he will be forced to guard us as his precious resources and protect us from other hunters. And you can't ignore the practical benefit of eating only 1 of us a day, unless you are the one. Lion growled, of course you can just reject this proposal, and I'll just start the chasing and eating again immediately. And so, of course, the animals agreed, and the lion became, once and for all, without exception, in all times and in all places, the King of Beasts. The animals, for their part, began to provide a daily tribute of 1 animal for lunch every day. And the lion, for his part, was quite pleased with the arrangement. Each day, 1 of the forest creatures would be sacrificed for the greater good. Perhaps one day a peacock, and the next an elephant. Today a deer, and tomorrow a monkey. As time went on, however, it became Rabbit's turn to sacrifice himself for the greater good, and the little creature was not at all interested in becoming a lion's lunch. In those days, Rabbit had almost no ears at all. They were short and rounded, and he was almost unrecognizable. But inside, he was still that same clever rabbit, as you'll see. He dawdled on the way there, thinking and planning the whole way. In fact, he was so slow that by the time he reached the lion, it was already nearly sundown, and the King of Beasts was furious. Lunch! Where are you? Cried the lion. Here I am, said the rabbit, somewhat timidly. Why have you taken so long? You are late, and I am hungry. And you are so tiny. You should have brought 4 or 5 rabbits to make up for your small size, and for being late. Well, yes, great king. There were more of us when we started out. In fact, there were 6 rabbits to begin with, but on the way the rest of them were eaten, and I alone escaped to come to you, said the rabbit. Eaten? By whom? Who would dare eat my lunch? I hate to say it, Your Majesty, said the rabbit, but it was another lion. Another lion? Yes, Majesty. And when we warned him not to eat us and that we were your lunch, he just laughed and said you were an imposter. Yes, he told us that he was the true king of beasts and that he was coming to defeat you and take your kingdom away. He told me to tell you that. Where is this upstart? This pretender? Take me to him! And so the rabbit led the angry lion this way and that way, up and down, until they came to a large rocky well. The other lion is hiding in that great fortress, O king, said the rabbit. Ha! Pshaw! Hiding, what a coward! Is he large? Not so large as you, Majesty. Is he ferocious? Not so ferocious as you, Your Majesty, though he is quite ugly and stinky. I shall defeat him easily. The lion looked into the shaft of the well, and there in the well waters he saw his own reflection. When he did, he let out a tremendous roar, and of course the well roared right back at him. Oh, I saw him. He does look ferocious and ugly, said the lion. Hey, you! Roared the lion into the well. Hey, you! Echoed the lion in the well. I say you are a coward, roared the lion. I say you are a coward, echoed the lion in the well. I am the king of beasts, roared the lion. I am the king of beasts, echoed the lion in the well. Why don't you come and get me then? Roared the lion. Bring it! Echoed the lion in the well. Right, that's it. I'm going in. And so the lion dove into the well to defeat his own reflection. And the foolish creature drowned. Or, at the very least, he never bothered those animals ever again. And when the other animals heard about the clever way that Rabbit helped solve their lion problem, well, they honored him with a special crown that had 2 long ears on it that he wears still to this very day. And that is why the rabbit has long ears. At least in India, that's true.
Now that's true, completely true. The story I just told to you, the way it happened through and through, from ears to tail, it's true. Now that's true, completely true. A knowing tale from crown to toes. The only rabbit really knows. From ears to tail, it's true.
Rabbit is always a trickster, and sometimes, in some stories, he gets to be the hero. In other stories, not so much. In Ghana, West Africa, they tell the story very differently. Rabbit didn't get his long ears. No, in Africa, he always had them. The difference is, all of the other animals had long ears too. Lion had long ears. Deer had long ears. Monkey had long ears. Civet had long ears. Wild dog had long ears. Why, even tortoise had the longest, most glorious ears you can imagine. And of course, rabbit's ears were as you would expect them to be. But the trouble that changed all of this came in a year when the rains did not come. One by one, all of their watering holes dried up, leaving the animals all desperate and thirsty, until ultimately they all met together at what had been their wettest watering hole to find a solution to the problem. "What will we do?" cried the deer. "This cannot last forever," said the lion. "Yes, but while it lasts," said Monkey, "not only are we thirsty, but we have nothing to eat, because nothing will grow without water." "What about the people of the village?" said Tortoise. "They have water." Yes, said Wild Dog, "but that's because they have tools to dig with. If we had tools, we could dig for water too. But Clever Rabbit had been listening carefully and came up with a plan on the spot. Why don't we trade something to the people in exchange for tools? Then we can dig our own well and have as much water as we want. But what could we give to the people in exchange? The other animals cried. We have nothing at all. But just look, said Rabbit. We each have very long ears. Perhaps if we cut off just the tips of our ears, we could trade them for the tools that we need. Well, it was true that they each had lovely ears. Perhaps they could afford to sacrifice just the tips of them to keep themselves alive. And so they all agreed to come the next morning to trade their ear tips for tools. And so they did. Lion and Monkey returned the next morning, their ears rounded and smallish, and Deer and Civet and Dog shortened their ears, and Tortoise sort of misunderstood and cut the whole things off. The other animals praised her and declared that she was the hero of the day, but ever since, of course, Tortoise has had none. As for Rabbit, well, Rabbit did not come. The other animals waited, but he didn't come in the morning. He didn't come in the afternoon. Something must have happened to Rabbit, they thought. Shame, too. It was such a good plan, and it was all his idea. But they decided they could wait no longer before journeying to the village to exchange their ear tips for tools. But their plan worked. They returned armed with hoes and spades and got to work immediately, working for most of the rest of that day and all of the next before they finally dug deep enough to strike water. Oh, what a celebration they had as their new, much-needed and well-earned watering hole began to fill with clear, cool water. But before even one of them could take a drink, they heard a loud rattling and rumbling noise coming from the forest. What beast is this, they thought, coming to attack us? And the animals scattered and ran far away, leaving their new water well unguarded. Slowly the noise approached, and as soon as it became clear that none of the other animals were around, out from the bushes jumped Rabbit, carrying a large calabash gourd. He sauntered brazenly over to the water hole and drank his fill of the water. How clever I am, he thought to himself. Not only did I not have to help with any of the digging, but I didn't have to cut off my beautiful ears either. He filled up his gourd with water, and then, as if cheating wasn't bad enough, he took a bath in the well, kicking up dirt and rocks and muddying the whole thing for everybody else. Then he just hopped away. When the other animals decided it was safe to return, they were angry and upset to find their water muddied. "We must catch and punish this thief," roared the lion. "And I think I know who it is we must catch," said Monkey. He found some muddy tracks in the grass near the watering hole. "It seems that by bathing he has revealed himself. It is a rabbity robber who has done the deed," said Monkey. So the animals set out to catch the culprit by using their new tools to dig up the stinkiest, stickiest green mud they could find and mold it into the shape of a rabbit. They gave it eyes of stone and ears made from long leaves, and the next time they heard the rattle and bump of the calabash gourd, they hid in the trees and bushes instead of running away. Sure enough, down the trail to the watering hole came Rabbit. But when he saw the sticky green rabbit doll sitting by the edge of the watering hole, he stopped short. "Excuse me, cousin, but this is my watering hole. What are you doing here?" But the sticky doll said nothing. "I said, this is my watering hole," barked Rabbit. "Now tell me who you are and what you're doing here. You're going to ruin everything." But the sticky doll said nothing. "Now, cousin, you are just being rude. You're not going to answer me?" But the sticky doll said nothing. "You're not going to answer me?" But the sticky doll said nothing. "I say answer me or I will make you answer me," said Rabbit. But the sticky doll said nothing. "Fine," said Rabbit. So the rabbit walked over to the sticky doll and pushed it with one paw, and that one paw became stuck. "What is this? What is this?" said Rabbit. You grab at me? You grab at me? Well, if you grab at me, I will grab at you. And he pushed on the doll with his other paw. And the other paw became stuck. And then one foot and the other foot until Rabbit was completely stuck in the sticky mud. The angry animals came out of hiding and made unhappy faces at Rabbit. Oh, you trapped me good, dear friends. What a good trick this is. I hope you don't mind the little trick I played on you, friends. Because digging the watering hole was your idea, said Monkey, we'll let you go this time. But you still have your ears, said Tortoise. And you didn't help dig the well, said Deer and Civet, so this water is not yours. For those reasons, growled Lion, if we ever see you around here again, then you'd better be ready to run fast, said Wild Dog. And so it is that Rabbit still has his long ears while all of the other animals do not. And whenever Rabbit sees anyone, he always runs away very, very fast. And at least in West Africa, that's true. Now that's true, completely true, the story I just told to you, the way it happened through and through, from ears to tail it's true. Now that's true, completely true, a cheater's tale from start to end, with Rabbit on the run again, from ears to tail it's true. That's right. Both of those stories are completely true, as much as this kind of story ever is. But if that's not enough for you, you can visit the Treehouse YouTube channel, where we've got more versions of the story about how Rabbit got his long ears. And now, if you'll follow me over to the Treehouse Art Garden, we'll make a quick little art project that goes along with these stories.
And I was muted. I apologize. But thank you so much, Wes. Those are really great, two great versions of those stories. I know I haven't heard those in a really long time, so that was really great to see just the differences between the two countries and how they're also just a little bit similar, and the various instruments that went along with that. So that was really awesome. And then now we're going to do a craft that's inspired by this tale, little rabbit craft. And it can be done with some very simple things that you probably already have around the house, just some paper and scissors, glue stick, some scraps of paper. But if for some reason you don't have those different supplies with you right now, not to worry, because this recording is going to be available later on from wherever you're viewing it from, either Facebook or YouTube. So don't worry. So we're going to have Wes run through kind of everything that's involved in making the craft. And if you can't make it live with us, don't worry, you can make it later on today or over the weekend. The recording is going to stay on YouTube, and I think even Wes, you'll have it on, probably have it on the Treehouse YouTube.
Yes, we'll have a version of that to go with our art projects. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, let's head over to the art garden and check that out.
Okay, here it is, the Treehouse Art Garden, where we're always making art based on stories and some of our favorite books. Because of the stories that we just told, of course, we're going to make a rabbit puppet. Now, there were lots of other animals in the story, and you can make whatever animal you like, but I'm going to make a rabbit puppet, and then once you know the pattern, you can make as many puppets as you desire. Let's go. For some art projects, you want to plan out absolutely everything in advance, and for others, well, a lot happens by accident, and I like it that way. And this is one of those kinds of projects where it's about 50-50. You got to plan out your supplies. First, you're going to need a piece of paper. I'm choosing yellow because I want to make a yellow rabbit because I can and because it's one of my favorite colors. And I'm going to be using scraps and glue and my favorite pair of scissors, and I really don't need very much else. Clear it off to the side where I can get it. First thing we need to do is to fold our paper. So we're going to set the paper up the long way, or portrait, and we're going to fold it in thirds. Now you'll notice I'm just going to eyeball this because it doesn't need to be exact thirds. In fact, folding it over like this, you'll notice that I've got quite a bit of space here between the edge and the fold. That's perfect because I want it to be big enough for me to put my hand in. It's okay if it's bigger than that, but I want it to be at least that big. Then you'll notice that there's a flappy side that leaves you and a smooth side. Now in the end, I want this smooth side to be on the outside of my puppet. So I'm going to make sure that when I fold it now, I've got the flappy side on the outside of the puppet. You can see how that works. Okay, now I'm going to take this fold. You see how I've got it? Kind of like a V. I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it 2 more times, just past the fold. You see how it's done? Now I'm going to take and fold the other side too. Normally I would match what I've just done, but because I'm making a rabbit, I want my rabbit to have a bit of an overbite. So I'm going to go a little farther on this fold than the other one. You see how I've done that? So I've got one that sticks out farther than the other. Okay, if you did this right, it should look somewhat like a W, or if you prefer, an M. And then this is where it becomes a puppet. We're going to tip it up on its side here, and you'll see that where we've folded it, we've got 2 open holes, and I'm squishing them together to get them to open like that. I'm going to make it so that my thumb goes in one and my fingers fit in the other one. You can see why you wanted to make sure that it's going to fit on your hand. And now it's puppet. I've got a mouth here. Now you want to decide with your puppet, whatever kind of animal you're making, that whether you use this as the top or this as the top. Now remember, I wanted to have an overbite on my rabbit, so I have a place to put the teeth. So I'm going to use the shorter side for my top. I find that one of the biggest challenges with this art project is remembering which part of your puppet is the front and which part is the back while you're decorating it. It's easy to get confused at the beginning. So make sure that you are taking your puppet, putting it on your hand, and making sure before you get crazy with the gluing that you're putting your eyes and your ears and your nose where you want them and not backwards. Now, speaking of eyes and ears and nose, let's pull out our scraps again and make some facial features for this puppet. I'm going to use this little white piece to make circle eyes. I've folded it so that I can cut both eyes at once and they'll match. Now they don't have to be exact circles, and that's the part where I'm talking about sometimes what you create is part accident with a cut paper project. And sometimes I like what I do by accident a little bit better than what I would have done if I had used a stencil. I want them to be kind of big. Bigger eyes are cuter. Okay, so here I've got my 2 eyes, but I'm going to make some circles, and I want mine this time to be just a little smaller than the white ones, because these are going to be the parts that live inside the whites. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with those. Okay, now again, normally with a cut paper project, I might wait until the very end before I glue anything on. But in this case, I want something to help me remember what the top of my puppet is and what the bottom. Did you notice to pick up the pupil, I just stuck my finger down. Turns out people are kind of sticky already, and that was enough for me to pick up the pupil on my eye. It's a fun trick. Then I'm going to sort of, while the glue is wet, slide that around until I can get it where I want it. Yep, that looks good to me. Got my eyes. Now I'm going to put them on. I don't want to put them all the way at the top of the face because I want to leave room for the ears of this rabbit. Now I did fold my papers, both the black and the white, over to make my eyeballs match. But they don't have to. Sometimes when you're doing art, especially funny art, it's kind of fun to have one bigger than the other. That's up to you. Okay, I'm liking this. Next, because it's a rabbit and because it's an animal, I want this kind of animal to have a little bit of a muzzle about right here. So I'm going to take this piece of paper and just make a little half circle, something like that. And I'm going to glue that on again to help me figure out where I want to put my nose. You can use markers if you like, or other kinds of color media, but when I'm making a cut paper project, I like to stick with just the paper and the glue. Okay, so there I've got a place to put my nose. And making my nose, I know that I want a little point on my nose, and I'm going to use two colors. So I'm going to do a little trick where I put the two colors that I want to use together and just offset the pink from the black just a little bit. Now if I do this trick and I hold them together, it should let me cut across, and I'm going to make a triangle, but a little bit of an arc there. And if I do this right, then I can put the pink on top of the black, and because I cut them at the same time, they sort of match. So I'm going to glue those together like that. I want to put my nose down there. So it looks a little bit like an animal's muzzle. You see how that goes? I think that's good. I like it. Now, to really rabbit this guy up, he needs what the story's about. We need some ears. Let's get rid of some of the rest of this. Every now and again, especially when you're working with cut paper, it's nice to clean up your area so that you can see what you need and what is scraps. First, I'm going to cut some longish ears, but I want them to be kind of wide, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I'm just gonna, I've folded my paper again. Did you notice that step? Folded my paper, and I'm just gonna cut them a couple of triangles. It could be longer, shorter than that if you want. And then because I cut them on the fold, I'm gonna cut along that fold until I've got some kind of matching ears. But gluing these ears on is going to need a place to glue. So I'm going to make a little fold at the bottom, and I kind of want to do one similar on the other ear and try them out and make sure that they're the kind of ears that I want on my rabbit. Now here's the cool thing. I could stay with this kind of ear. I'm kind of satisfied with those guys. But if you want an ear that is more than just a flat ear, if you want some dimension on it, there's a cool trick that you should know, because you can use it with rounded ears or pointed ears like this, whatever you're doing. I'm just going to take my scissors, and on this little flappy part, can you see if I hold it sideways? The little flappy part, I'm going to cut right in the middle. I'm going to do this on both of them so that I can fold one over the other and make my ear dimensional. You see it? Pretty cool. If I glue it like this, then when it stands up on my rabbit, it looks more like a real ear. Your ears have that kind of dimension. These ears might even work for the rabbit to hear our stories. Okay, so I've got that taken care of. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other one. And then I want to cut some smaller triangles out of this pink to put on the inside. I don't need them to be very big. This is the kind of thing that's up to you. You don't have to line yours with pink. You can do anything you like. But I recommend lining it with something just to make that part of your puppet stand out that much better. Okay, now that I've got that together, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I'm going to put some glue on one of these two flaps that I cut. I'm going to fold it over, just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then I'm going to fold it over the other one. And now I've got two stand-up ears You can see them from multiple angles here. Now that we've got our ears made, it's time to put them on the rabbit. Put a little bit of glue here. And again, make sure we're putting them in the right spot. I kind of like rabbit ears to be a little closer together. Makes them look different than other kinds of animals. Time to put it on and test it. I like the look of that. Okay, next, this guy needs teeth. I am going to make them long enough that I have a piece to fold over. And then I want to cut a little bit out so that you can see what his teeth look like. Fold it over, add the glue, put them on, right there. Now I could add a whole lot more detail, but I definitely think that in order for my puppet to be a puppet, I need to put something in the mouth so that you can see the mouth. So very quickly, I'm going to cut out something to put here in the back and probably a tongue. You just put a half circle will be fine, but keep in mind one of those back of the mouth shapes. And now a tongue. Yeah, now my puppet can talk. I like him. Now I'm going to add just a couple more details, but really my puppet is done. And you can add whatever kind of details you want. You can add whiskers. I'm just going to add a little bit of highlight. Remember how I said that sometimes my art is part accident? See that little scrap of paper there? That's just about what I was going to cut to put the highlight on the nose. I think I'm just going to use it. That's why you should never throw away your scraps until the end of your project. I like it. You can add anything else that you like. Don't forget to clean up and recycle when you're done. There's our puppet. Thanks. Did you try it? How did yours turn out? Thank you so much for making art with me and for sharing some stories with me here at Treehouse. We do those kinds of things all the time here at Treehouse, and if you're in Ogden, Utah, you got to promise to stop by and see us in person. Thank you so much for letting us be part of this.
So much fun. That was really great. We hope that you get to make your puppet if you didn't get to make it with us in real time here. Don't worry, you can rewatch us on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're joining us from later, and make your puppet, and then email us a photo of your puppet, because I know I want to see them. I'm sure Wes
That would be so much fun.
So email us your photos with you and your puppet. You can just email those to me directly at utah@bluestarfam.org. We would really love to see those. All the different creations, whether you made a rabbit or some other of our jungle friends today. So that'll be really fun. We'd love to see those. So thank you so much for joining us. And there's tons more that you can see if you want to check out more of what the Treehouse Museum has to offer. It's just treehousemuseum.org. And then you mentioned it earlier, Wes, but there is also all kinds of content on your YouTube channel. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're going to have, if you like the rabbit stories, the other two stories in this series are on, one from North America and one from this neck of the woods here in Utah, that tell the same sort of legend in very different ways with more musical instruments. And then we've got a series for pre-K on there too that you should definitely check out. And I got to say, if you enjoyed that art, one of my favorite things to do with that kind of puppet is just to take random pieces of paper I have with me and make those puppets in meetings. You can do that anytime you want.
Yes, we need to bring more puppet time to meetings. I think that would be fun. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Wes. We appreciate your time today and putting that together for us. And we thank everybody at home for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this time. And we thank you for supporting Blue Star families. And you can check out all the other great events that we are going to be having here in the near future by just joining us at bluestarfam.org. If you're not a member, it's super easy to join. Just bluestarfam.org/join, and that'll tap you into not only all the great programs and everything that we do here at Blue Star Families, but a whole bunch of other incentives for you and your family. So thank you, Wes, again for joining us. If I can get my my computer to cooperate here this morning or this afternoon. But thank you again for joining us, and we hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much. And come see us in June. We open up on the 1st of June if you're in the Ogden area.
That's right. And you'll be able to check them out as well as all of our Blue Star Museum partners across the country, starting next month, May, Armed Forces Day, Saturday, May 15th, all the way through Labor Day. So very exciting. We're so happy to be back and able to get into our museum. So we hope that you get out there and check them out. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.